Hi, my name is Joyce Stebbins. I'm a piano teacher and organ teacher. I am a choral director, and I am organist at 2 different churches. My teaching is varied. It goes from small children up to the middle-aged, up to the elderly. Quite a diverse group, but it's very enjoyable. I've also taught handicapped children, which is quite an experience. But I find out that, especially with the special needs children, that I can find out more from them, I think, than I'm able to teach them musically, because they are just unbelievable.
When did you start playing the piano?
I started taking piano lessons at 3 years old. I gave my first organ recital at age 5 on a 3-manual pipe organ. I was guest soloist with the Allentown Symphony at ages 8 and 11. I was guest soloist with the Philadelphia Orchestra at age 12. And obviously, music was inbred in me.
How long have you been teaching the piano and organ?
I've been teaching piano and organ for 42 years. So I have a lot of experiences under my belt, some really great ones, some maybe not so great.
What is the most rewarding aspect of teaching the piano?
When you teach a person the piano, especially when they come in and they know absolutely nothing about it, it's amazing what you can draw out of anyone, not necessarily children, but anyone. And to find out that they have actually accomplished something and played a piece, and to see the look on their face when they have finished that is priceless. And that just means that I'm doing the job that I'm supposed to be doing, and it makes them feel well. My job is not only to teach the children piano, but to teach them self-respect, to teach them a little bit about discipline, and to teach them that, yes, they can do something. Just because you think you can't, or somebody tells you you can't, does not necessarily mean that you can't do it.
What is the difference between teaching the piano and organ?
There's the organ, the touch on the organ is quite different than the touch on the piano. When you play the piano, there's what you call the sounding board, and attached to the sounding board are strings. The larger the string, the deeper the tone. There are hammers, what we call hammers, that come up and hit the strings that create the tone, because it creates the vibration. In order for that to manifest itself in sound, you have to definitely press down on the keys. Whereas on an organ, either it's done electronically or through air with pipe organs. And there it's not a case of the touch as much as it is the fact that you're just pressing down on the key. Plus on the organ you have pedals, so you're using your feet as well. A pedal board on an organ is just like you would see a keyboard on a piano. So you have to learn to use your feet also. So it is a little higher in high-end feet coordination compared to the piano, where it's just a case of coordinating what you know up here to what goes on in your fingers.
What is the difference between teaching adults and children?
Just the approach. An adult, when you teach an adult, you are teaching someone that is more, I would say, focused, more determined. It's because they want to be there, not because mom is saying, hey, guess what, you're taking piano lessons. It's also harder because obviously as the older you get, and I'm a prime example of that, you don't retain as much. So it's not as easy to teach an adult as it is a child. A child, no matter, be it piano or anything else, reading, they're like little sponges. And everything that goes in basically stays, and they just keep growing and growing and growing. Whereas when you're an adult, you've already reached the max as far as the quickness in how you learn. So it takes a little more patience and a lot more practice when you get older to take piano, and as a teacher to be able to teach it.
Where do you play the organ?
I'm currently organist at two different churches in two different little hamlets up here in the Northeast Pennsylvania. One of them is St. Mark's Lutheran Church, and that is in Lackawaxen, Pennsylvania, which is the home to the Roebling Bridge. Mr. Roebling happened to be the one who created the Brooklyn Bridge, and this was a stereotype of it. So we have that as our little claim to fame. It's a small little church, but it's very, very quaint. Sits right on the Delaware River, beautiful setting. And the other the other church that I'm organist at is St. Luke's Lutheran, and that's in Greeley. And Greeley is another small little hamlet that everybody knows everybody. It's both churches are really nice. And then I fill in every once in a while at a church in Shahola, which is located also right on the Delaware River. And that is also a Lutheran church. It's St. Jacobi Lutheran Church. And the people up there, just like anywhere, are very down to earth, very welcoming, very helpful, and very energetic.
Who taught you the piano?
When I started around 3 years old, my grandmother had a piano, which I currently teach on now. I believe it's 94 years old, and it's still in pretty good shape, and I don't want to part with it because it's part of the family. I started playing commercials. Of course I don't remember this, but this is what I was told. And they found a teacher in Allentown. Her name was Grace Murray. She was a very, very dear lady. And I started taking piano lessons at 3. When I reached 5, Mrs. Murray said that she could no longer teach anything because I've already learned it, that she proceeded to put my family in contact with a Dr. Homer Nearing. He was very prominent in the Lehigh Valley as far as a musician, composer, and extremely, extremely well versed. It was through him that I was taking lessons 3 times a week, an hour on the piano and a half hour on the organ. So it was an hour and a half, 3 times a week. And he was the one that introduced me to the organ. And I am very grateful for.
How did you like being on Ashford Radio?
When Ashford Publishing Radio called and said that they wanted to do a series with me on the joy of music, needless to say, I was a little skeptical because I'm not... I don't like to speak in front of people. The fact that it was from my own home helped a little bit, but I really didn't know if I was going to be able to speak for a whole half hour, much less week after week. My experience on Ashford Radio has been phenomenal. It has given me a little more confidence in speaking. You have to introduce a Christmas concert coming up the middle of December, and the actual introduction to the concert scares me more than directing and playing for the whole hour and a half. But through Ashford Radio, it's actually helped me with a little bit more confidence in the way I can make my point and speak. So it's been very, very helpful.
What is the most challenging part of teaching?
When a student walks into your home for the first time, or studio or whatever, and you meet them, and they say they would like to learn to play the piano, and I kind of need to get a feel as to, is this coming from them, or is this mom saying, yes, you're going to learn? There are times when the child will come in and I will teach. The child is not into it, so he or she will tend to not try as hard as somebody else that really wants to learn. That is challenging. When you get a child that you know you want to teach and even know that he has or she has the ability, but they just don't want to do it. Coming up with different ways to teach them is I think, one of the hardest things that I've had to deal with as far as teaching piano.
How do you choose whether to teach a student the organ or the piano?
I don't start them on the organ until they've had at least 2 or 3 years of piano under their belt. They're just the eye-hand coordination on the piano, and I want them to feel emotion. Whereas with the organ, the only way you can create emotion on an organ is by using your crescendo pedal, which is the louder soft pedal, with your foot. With the piano, you can evoke emotion on a piano just by the way you touch the keys. And I prefer to get them into the emotional aspect of piano before I even think about taking them over to the organ, plus the fact that with the organ you also have your pedals involved, which means they have to use their feet. So let's get both hands working together first. Then we'll work on trying to add the pedals to it.
What is music theory?
When a child comes in and starts taking piano lessons, I would like that child to know that the reason he does the things he does is because there is a reason, not just because I said so. Music theory gives the child the ability to understand why he does the things he does or she does. There isn't anything that is done on the piano that doesn't have a logical reason behind it. For instance, if you take a scale to a child is boring. It's, you go up, you got your fingering, this and that and everything else. And then you have to memorize your key signatures with your sharps and your flats. Now, if you take the child and you tell them, guess what? This is a math formula. This is not just a scale. It's a math formula. If you take the whole steps and the half steps and you divvy them up and you play them the exact same way starting on any different key, you will get your scale. And it's like, well, I didn't know it was math. Oh, well, yeah, math enters into it. There's, and that's theory. That all is included in your theory lessons.
How has being involved with music helped you with your health crisis?
Back in 1997, I was diagnosed with spinal stenosis, which from what I understand is it's getting more common, which is scary. But it's where your spinal cord starts closing. And in 1997 and 2002, I had 2 major back surgeries. They were surprised that I wasn't in a wheelchair. I'm still not. And I think I owe a lot of that to the determination and the discipline that I used when I was taking piano lessons. When I was taking piano lessons 3 times a week, that took a lot out of a person as far as trying to find time to practice, trying to get your schoolwork done. Then you have your hour-and-a-half lessons 3 times a week. So there was a lot of discipline there, and a lot of determination. And I think that is what has helped me as far as my health situation. I owe the fact that I'm standing right now, I think, to the fact that I was so heavily involved in music, because it's not just a case of learning a keyboard or learning how to work your feet on a pedal board. It also teaches the child the discipline. If you're determined about something, you should go for it. Don't let negativity get in the way. And I think that's true for a lot of things, not just piano and organ teaching, but I think that has really helped me be the person I am today and not be limited in my mobility because of the way that I was raised.
Any final thoughts?
Piano and organ. Now, they say I was gifted. I don't know exactly what that means, but has meant a lot to me, not only financially, of course, but has helped me a lot emotionally. Has given me the opportunity to go after what I would like to do with myself, be able to enjoy my life and really get the most out of it that I can. I think music, like I said before, the world would not be what it is if all the composers never existed and pianos weren't made and you didn't have the full blaring of a trumpet at Christmas with "O Come All Ye Faithful." There would definitely be something lacking. As much as it would be lacking in our society not to have music, I think that's how much it would be lacking in each individual not to at least get to know a little bit about the musical world. It's not something that everybody, of course, is lined up to do, but at the same time, I think a little musical education would go a very long way in the structure of a child. And I feel very blessed that I've been able to do that for 42 years. And I hope to continue to do it, maybe not for another 42, but for a while yet.
Presented by Ashford Social Media.